Hitting up a 10-minute walk. This is 10-minute walk number 3 of the day. Just wanted to fill you guys in on some diet stuff. I've been getting a little leaner and leaner over the last couple days and weeks. Really, something that's been really useful for me is just to put protein first. Kind of a protein forward diet, using protein as leverage. Because the more protein that you eat, it can assist to drive down the overall amount of calories that you eat. Kind of put very simply, I utilize a good amount of intermittent fasting. I consider fasting just not having food. So I still might have electrolytes. I still may have coffee. I still might put some salt in the coffee. The other thing that I do is what I call a liquid fast. You guys may have heard me talk about this before, and that's what I did today. So today I had collagen protein in my morning coffee, in addition to having 2 scoops of Slingshot hydrolyzed whey protein as well. I'm trying to think if I threw anything else in there. Just some salt and some cinnamon, I think. And that's what I had this morning at probably around 7 o'clock, 7:30. And then I haven't had a meal yet today. So that's all I've had, and it's almost 12:30. Probably won't get a chance to eat till like 1 or 2. And then from there, I'll probably eat about 3 times. So if you count the shake, it's 4 meals in a day. I might even end the day with a shake as well. So it might be more like 5 different times that I ate, or 5 different times that I consumed calories. I'm not on a carnivore diet. I'm not on a keto diet. I'm not on a no-carb diet or necessarily a low-carb diet. The few rules that I have for myself are pretty simple. I utilize some form of intermittent fasting every week, not every single day. I utilize a liquid fast every single week, but not every single day. I try to eat a lot of protein. So if you were to try to eat, let's just say 2 or 3 times a day, which is kind of what I'm doing. Sometimes I eat a little bit more, sometimes I eat a little bit less. 2 or 3 times a day. And let's say I told you to eat, 200 grams of protein. Well, that's kind of a tall order to stretch out over just 2 meals. That means you need to have like a steak or 100 grams of protein coming from like a chicken breast or something. That's a lot of chicken breast. That might be like, I don't even know, that might be like 3 or 4 pretty good sized chicken breasts. That's a lot of food. How much more could you eat than that, right? When you have a large amount of protein to eat, it kind of keeps you preoccupied. And what you'll learn is over time, it'll help to drive down hunger. It'll help to drive down cravings. Now, because I said I'm not on a keto diet and I'm not on a carnivore diet, my playbook is a little richer nowadays. What we have now is some play action passes, I like to call it. We've been running the football for a long time here. We've been 3 yards in a cloud of dust for a long time with a low carb diet and also a carnivore diet. The tried and true, the things that I know that work well for me. So 3 yards in a cloud of dust, just keep handing off the ball. It works well. Well, now I've added in like fruit. I've added in vegetables. I've added in potatoes. I've added in vegetables. And now I can run the ball to the right, run the ball to the right, run the ball to the right, run the ball to the left, mix things up a little bit. Boom, play action pass. Go to run the football. Hide it in the running back's stomach, right? Hide it on my hip. Wait a few seconds, make it look like the running back really has the ball, and then pick the ball up and chuck it downfield for a touchdown. And by opening up the playbook, that drives down hunger. That drives down cravings. Hunger and cravings are going to be the things that defeat you. Your feelings are also going to be things that defeat you. When you feel weak, when you feel swayed by the day, when you feel that the day has gotten the better of you, when you're stressed out, You know, it should be something that I have noticed with myself. Like I made a decision with myself a long time ago to try to make sure that I would never utter these words, and not only utter these words, but I would never think these words to myself. And I'm not saying that you have to do this, but I found it helpful for myself to get myself to this place of recognizing that no day has to be stressful. It's just your interpretation of it. So if someone says, how you doing? How's it going? You say, whew, I'm really stressed out. How is that helpful, right? Well, someone might say, well, hey, that's the damn reality of it. It was a stressful day. It was a harder day than yesterday. I had a lot of things with my children on this particular day. I had to run them around to the different things they needed to get to. My kids didn't listen to me today. Got in an argument with my spouse. I ended up getting late to work. A bunch of crap happened at my job. Had a run-in with an employee that wasn't good. Spilled my coffee on myself, and so on, right? But it's up to you to interpret that whatever way that you want. You have the capacity to think about that day. Is it just an experience that was a little different than the day before? Maybe it was a little more difficult, maybe it was a little more challenging, but so what? It's not going to be helpful to think about how hard it is or how stressful it is. What will be helpful is to think about, how can I make tomorrow a little bit better? Today didn't really go the way I wanted, but I wonder if I planned my day out a little bit better. If I maybe instead took a shower at this time rather than this time. Or I wonder if I woke up 15 minutes earlier, or went to bed an hour earlier, or stopped watching TV a half an hour earlier. I wonder if I would have had more time with my kids if I did that. Then I could have communicated something better with them rather than living in the moment and being in a rush, right? How does this factor in with your nutrition? How does this factor in with your diet? How does it have anything to do with any of that? Well, it has everything to do with that, because you're only going to be as strong as your weakest day, You're only going to be as strong as your weakest moment. And you can't have any links in the chain of your mind being weak. They all need to be strong, and you need to recognize that everything needs to kind of be working together. And the better that you feel and the better mood that you're in, the easier it's going to be to stay on your diet. You guys heard me before talk about the fuck it's, right? You can get a fuck it this way, where you say, fuck it, it's Friday, I'm gonna go out and have a couple of drinks with my friends, quarantine's over, and I'm gonna drink, and then Saturday you're like, I already messed up, so I'm just gonna say screw it, and I'm just gonna keep cheating on my diet. And you can do that all the way through until I'm starting my diet on Monday, right? You can get into that whole bit. Or you can get a case of the fuck it's in the other direction, because you come from a more positive side and you learn to strengthen your mind, and you have less weak links in your mind to take over. You're less stressed in your day-to-day because you may recognize something that may have spawned some stress, but you know how to stop it from gaining ground on attaching to your feelings and making you feel a certain type of way. Because remember, no one and nothing can make you feel any kind of way. It's your own interpretation of that. And what I'm trying to teach people is to reframe. If I only ate meat, that diet would be so hard for me, I can't do that. Really? You don't think that you can do it? I heard someone say, hey, that's a good suggestion, but you know what? I'm always hungry. Thought to myself immediately, irrational thought process. Always? You're always hungry. Irrational thought process. There is no possibility, unless you have something wrong with you, that you're always hungry. Because I would imagine at some point you ate too much. Maybe at some point you even, as a kid, I did this as a kid, ate so much that I threw up. Ate so much Halloween candy, you threw up, right? So always is a very powerful word. If you examined a diet and said, that diet might be tough for me because I really enjoy the bad habits that I have, that's different. That's looking at it in a manner where you can probably try to make adjustments and you could probably try to fix. Hey, I wonder if I went on that diet, I wonder if there's any room for my bad habits. I really love chocolate. Is there any room for chocolate on this diet? You know, most diets, there's not room for chocolate, candy, pizza, things like that. But are there any diets that allow for that? There sure are. Sometimes people will count calories and do it if it fits your macros, and they'll make room for those things. I'm not a huge fan of counting calories. However, it can be effective for people that have a hard time gaining control. What I'm after, and what I'm trying to teach, I want people to have as many weapons as possible when it comes to being able to fight against being fatter than they wish. When it comes to trying to obtain the body that you want, I want to be able to give that to you. I want to be able to give you enough knowledge to where, rather than you saying, oh my God, that diet's way too hard. Oh my God, he did that for 3 years and then that's how he got abs. Forget it. I don't want to do that. Instead, what I want you to say, I want you to be gifted with enough knowledge to say, you know what? I don't think that diet sounds right for me, but I wonder if I tried this instead. Or I wonder if I mixed some of the principles that he talked about in that diet, or someone talked about in the vertical diet, with some of the principles in this diet, and I wonder if that would work. And you find something that's reasonable. You find something that's rational to lean on and to call upon and to be able to do day in and day out. And I feel awesome right now with what I'm doing with my diet. And you heard me say I brought in fruit, I brought in vegetables, I brought in some of these things. But I also have learned over a period of time to reframe my thought process. I used to think that running a mile is hard. Somebody who runs 10 miles, running a mile is a joke. Somebody might think to get through just one day of dieting is really difficult, right? Just one day. Just, hey, can you make it through one day of chicken and rice for 4 meals with broccoli? Can you make it through one day of no carbs? Can you make it through one meal? Can you have one healthy meal? Can we start to break things down into one meal at a time? You hear people often talk about living in the moment. I talk about it often. I think it's very helpful. I think it's great to be mindful of that. That's kind of all that we have. And when you live in the moment from a dietary standpoint, then you can think to yourself, the only thing we got is the meal that's in front of us. So let's make that one count, and let's make sure that one's nutritious, and let's make sure that one is following a certain protocol or certain code. After you do that over a period of time, it's going to be easier for you to gain control over your diet. For me, it's been really helpful to reframe my mind and to be able to push a little harder on certain things. Now, it's taken time too. I want you to understand that I don't have any special willpower or willpowers over anything, other than I understand that I have the ability to interpret anything that I see, hear, in whatever way I choose to. Think about this. You see a kid at the park, and he's with his dad. He knocks over his sippy cup, and it knocks all the stuff out of there. The dad gets pissed off. Oh man, you effing knocked over your drink. Now you don't have any more drink, and he flips out. And you're sitting there looking, you're with your son or daughter, you're playing on the swings. You're like, what a maniac. Wow, I cannot believe. How many times have you done that? You know, don't be so quick to judge. How many times have you done that in your life? Or how many times do you do that in your own head? Because I'll tell you something, even just doing it in your own head, I'm a pretty calm person. But how many times have I said F it in my head? How many times have I thrown stuff, flipped tables over, been destructive just in my own head when somebody tells me something or when I hear something? I've done it a lot. I've done it way too often. And you know what I found? I found that it's useless. I found that it's not helpful in moving you forward. What's helpful in moving you forward is to pick your chin up a little bit, stick your chin out a little further, take it on the chin, and learn to absorb it, and learn to say, I wonder why this is making me feel pain. Wow, that's an interesting sensation. I wonder why this is bothering me at the moment. I wonder why my son spilling grape soda all over the back of my new car has me completely infuriated when I recognize that I could clean it up pretty easily. Or even if you can't clean it up, what's the problem? Why are you so mad? And if you think about it, you know why you're so mad. Because if you thought for a second, if that was going to set me up for disaster, if that was going to set me up for failure, why did I ever choose to have my 4-year-old son have grape soda in the back of the car anyway? And then what a ludicrous mode of interpretation of seeing the kid spill something and then you being pissed about it. You got the ability to choose a different mode of interpretation. You could have said to yourself, okay, wow, that wasn't great, but you know what? I learned a lesson. You know, a 4-year-old and the things that I like and the things that I want to keep clean and the things that I want to keep crisp don't go together very well. I do need to transport my child in this vehicle. This is something that's going to happen more often. So what can I do? How can you plan ahead? How can you plan ahead and plan? Could you picture? You don't always want to think about worst case scenarios, but it's sometimes helpful to play them in your head. And your kid eating pizza in the back seat, you could think that pepperoni and marinara sauce is going to end up everywhere. You either arm the kid with some paper towels, or you don't allow him to eat that stuff in the back seat of your car. I hope you guys are getting what I'm putting out right here. And this is not about your child eating in your car. This is about you setting yourself up for disaster. You know, you hear people say, if you don't plan ahead, you're planning to fail. But why even look at it from that direction? That to me sounds negative. How about maybe you say it more like this? When you plan ahead, you set yourself up for success. Period. You know, or even not even plan ahead, but planning implies that you're going to be prepared. How about this? Have a plan and you'll be successful. Period. Or you can shorten it down to saying, be prepared. Why not be prepared? Be prepared for the things in life that might get in your way of you making progress. What is the single greatest thing that holds you back from making progress? It's the man in the mirror. It's yourself. It's all self-induced. It's all these things that we tell ourselves that aren't true. It's all these things that we get anxiety and stress over that really scramble us, that really mess with us. They really tear apart who we are. And then you start to question everything that you're doing. Let's say you did a keto diet for a little while. You dropped 10 pounds. And there you are trying to make these decisions every day. When you have a lot of decisions to make, you're going to be more likely to mess stuff up. So what are some options? What are some ways that you can control your decisions better? Well, one thing is just not to have decisions to make. That's where intermittent fasting comes in. What do? You just don't eat. It's the avoidance. It's the avoidance of making a decision about where to eat and what to eat, because you just don't eat anything for X amount of time. I guess that is your decision, right? That's what you decided on. But at least it's a rule that's real simple to follow the protocol for. You need to have a plan. You need to figure out a way to be prepared. Where are you going to eat? When are you going to eat? These different things that plague our minds so much. And then when you're not set up to know where you're going to eat, what you're going to eat, or when you're going to eat, where, when, and what, then you are kind of screwed, because now you're super hungry. You haven't made a decision about where your food's going to come from. But even if you were to fast, you know that the fasting isn't going to go on forever. So be prepared for it. Be ready for it. Be prepared for 16 hours from now, I'm going to be eating something Right now, I have a steak in my fridge at home that has been thawing out since last night from the freezer. It's ready to go. It's ready to rock. I know it's going to be there when I get home. If I feel hungrier than that and I need to call an audible, I know that I could stop at In-N-Out and get a couple Flying Dutchman and make a different call from there. But I hope you guys understand that as much as I share my diet with you, I like to try to share my lifestyle with you, because I think that that is the major factor in what holds most people back. Everyone's always trying to find a code, or everyone's trying to find a cure for obesity, a cure against being fat, a cure against, you know, being 30, 40, 60, 80, 100 pounds fatter than you want to be. There's no other way to put it than just say it that way. You know, and you say it that way, it sounds blunt, but it is true. And we all know, like, hey, like, people got to figure out a way to eat less. But this is a way to help you to eat less, because you need a plan. You need to figure out a way to gain control. And when you recognize that a lot of this stuff is your fault, you don't beat yourself up over it. You don't get down in the dumps over it. You start to understand, how could I plan better? How can I prepare better so that the level at which I got to put out every single day is lighter, is easier? Remember, I said in the beginning, I thought running a mile is pretty hard. I ran around the block yesterday after I did some sprints and after I did a full workout like I was Prefontaine, like I was inventing the damn beginnings of the Nike shoe back in the day. I took off and running like damn Forrest Gump. You guys have never seen me display anything from my history that would show you that I have anything in terms of genetics when it comes to like running. Obviously I have decent genetics that allow me to do certain things physically. That's great. But I don't have a history of running. I don't have a family history of running. No one's ever really taught me to run. I did do track when I was a kid, but I mainly just threw the shot and disc and ran 100 meter. Did some sprints in football just like the rest of you guys. It didn't become easier for no reason. It became easier because the dialogue in my head for me to try running was really more about, I just wonder if I try some running, if I could get a little bit better at it each day. That doesn't sound too bad. I wonder if I just try to diet, I wonder if I could lose a little bit of weight. Rather than this, oh, I wonder if I start running tomorrow if I can compete with Cam Hanes in 2 years. You know, I wonder if in 2 years if I can do an ultra marathon. Or I wonder if in a year if I could do a marathon. Or I wonder if I can run 5 miles. I'm not concerned about any of that shit, because none of that stuff matters to me. What matters to me is to be a little bit better than I was yesterday, and to try to make the best decision in each moment that I'm in each day. I don't have to have these big expectations for myself and be let down and beat the crap out of myself for failing and being like, yeah, dude, of course, you fail all the time at everything. You suck. You were dumb in school. You were fat as a kid. You're going to continue to be fat. You're going to continue to be dumb. You just think everything you do is wrong. I can't do nothing right. You wouldn't think that someone like me would think that way. But I think the same way that you guys think. We're humans. We pretty much think. We have some different thoughts that pop into our heads. But like the way that we think is pretty similar in a lot of ways. And I have negative self-talk. And I gotta push that shit back. And I gotta reinterpret. But you have the ability to reinterpret the thought before it ever becomes concreted and stamped into your brain. Before it ever gets etched in your brain and a stamp on it and you say, yep, this is my belief. Before it ever turns into a belief, you get to think about it in whatever way you would like. And you don't have to attach a feeling to it. You don't have to associate somebody calling you fat with feeling sad. You know, sad's a word right here, right? It's a word, right? Picture the word sad being like right here. And picture somebody telling me somebody telling me that I'm fat over here. I don't have to draw a straight line over into someone, you know, telling me that I'm fat equaling sadness. In between that, I can interrupt it with some logic. I can interrupt it with interpretation. I can say, you know what, that person calling me that, or let's say like I'm not fat, so it's easy for that to bounce off of me. It's easy for that to roll off of me. But what if somebody called me something different? What if somebody called me, you know, stupid? You've heard me talk about it before. I've bought that story that I was dumb because I had crappy grades and I had a hard time in school, learning disability, the whole 9 yards, right? I bought into that story. If somebody calls me dumb, do I have to associate it with being depressed? Or with even pondering, I wonder if that person tried, you know, I've been called dumb before. I'm going to put that in my association bucket with all the other times I've been called dumb. And as I go to drop it in the bucket, it's like, wow, look at how many other people have called me dumb, or look at how many other people have told me the slingshot idea is a shitty idea. Like, now we have insurmountable evidence that I'm dumb. This is really piling up. This is concerning. Look at this. It's really stacked to the ceiling, you know? But I don't ever have to open up that storage unit because I don't ever have to store that. I don't have to ever store that away or live with that. I can make a decision right there to cut it off at the pass and to not even file it away. It's not even a worthwhile complaint to put in the old file cabinet. It's not worth it. I can intercept it. You can intercept it and you can reinterpret it right then and there, and you can decide what you're going to do with it on your own. So I realize that goes a little sideways just from being jacked and tan, but I think if you're going to look like a powerful person and you're going to perpetuate what a powerful person should be, then I don't think that you can just lift heavy weights. And I don't think that you can just be lean. And I don't think that you can just be jacked. I don't think any of that's enough. I think that it has to come from within. What you got going on the inside is really, really important. And if you have a six-pack and you're getting in good shape and you're getting shredded and someone's like, wow, you look amazing, I want you to feel the same way on the inside that you do about yourself on the outside. But it's not a false feeling. It's not just it's a self-confidence. It's a reassurance that you're good enough, you belong, you deserve these things. And it's because it's things that you earned, it's things that you worked on. If your mind is messed up right now and you really struggle with things, it's actually a good thing. Because think about, for me, just think about where I was just a couple weeks ago with running. I couldn't run more than like 400 feet without getting winded, right? And because I was so bad at it, it gave me an opportunity to have like newbie gains. You know, it gave me an opportunity for me to get better at something faster, as if I was new to it, because I was new to it. Same thing with your mentality. You just feel like a piece of shit. You literally feel like a piece of crap. You just feel like you can't do anything right in your life. The world has beat you up many, many times. You can't show up on time. You can't do this. You can't do that. You have all these can'ts in your head. I want you to realize that you can reinterpret all that. You can start changing that. It's not going to change overnight. It's going to take a long time, but you can make a lot of progress over the next couple days, over the next couple weeks, over the next couple years, and you can be what other people will define and what you'll define and what you'll feel awesome about as a success. Hopefully you found this video to be helpful. In the comments below, let me know. I want to know what you guys, because I've been talking about this for a while now, I want to know what you guys have been able to reframe. I want to know what you guys have been able to reinterpret in your day-to-day that has been helpful to you, and maybe we can help other people together. Strength is never a weakness, weakness is never a strength. Catch y'all later.